Okay. Hi everyone on YouTube. This is Na again, making another one of my come alive YouTube stream. Let me go ahead and adjust the lighting so you guys can see me better. Yes, those are the three components of the YouTube Creator Academy, my Creator Academy that I want to reconnect with. Because it's a wealth of knowledge. So the three components of making live streams on YouTube is lighting, and YouTube will break down, what those lights are about. Right now I switched back to my white light LED. I purchased one from Target recently, and it's newer, but I'm still stuck on my vintage one. So I've got this cute little blue vintage one. I'll try to show you guys. I did get it from Echo Town, and I think for the most part it is vintage. And it's a good one. The light is I think that's why people like vintage, because things made long time ago, I think there's better quality to it and it's better made. For example, I got this really cute dress from Echo Town, right? And it somewhat looks vintage, right? The birds and stuff, but it's actually Old Navy. And although Old Navy, a lot of people have a thing for Old Navy, and their stuff could be quite expensive and nice. They're not the best, right? Like as far as put together and sewn together material. I mean, this is a cute bird, simple dress is cute. But when I got it from Echo Town, I got this for $1. There was a little hole, on the side. And, just as Echo Town, they play the sellers, I played Echo Town back. And it's supposedly this dress is $3. And I say, hey, I see a little I see a little hole. And, I know Echo Town just wants people to buy, right? So I said, I see a little hole there. I said, can you lower the price for me? And, everything I had was $1. So they pretty much dropped to $1 because they know me that, if they said $2, I would reject it. So I got this beautiful dress. It's vintage, as far as design. It's not actually from the vintage area. It's cute, Old Navy. There was a little hole on the side, about 1/2 inch. I went in and sewed it up. I think it's right here. You guys can see it. I went in and sewed it up with yellow thread. Yeah. Practicing my surgical skills. Yeah. So I'm going to keep my white light. The reason why I keep on saying that is the one I got from Target, although it was a more modern version, it was kind of like a metallic, which I told you I like metals, mixed metals. The LED light was kind of yellowish. And I don't know. I didn't take to it. I like this light. It's like you're stuck to like classic Coke. I like this light. But the reason why I bought the one from Target, because I like metal, and my desk is like a light cloud blue, like in the sky, which I like. But being that I'm going to keep the LED and the light is blue, I am going to paint my table white. All right. So as you guys know, there are many types of whites. Just like the book 50 Shades of Gray, there's many types of white. And there is an actual architectural concept where people just decorate their home in a white theme, but it is what's called off-white. So you might have just their house is just a variations of different types of white in general. And I like that. I like white. White represents purity. And, I like the idea of, interior decorating with different types of white, right? So you could have like a gray white, you could have just plain white, you can have like an off-white, like more top brownish, right? You can have kind of like a vanilla white, but essentially white is the base, and I really like that. So yeah, sorry about the interruption on the video. This is the webcam that Santa Ana College rents out, and if you guys just saw the camera quality on it, it sucks. Yeah, when I turned it on, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't even see myself, and I look yellow, and it's like super dark. And I switched to the one my agency, Department of Rehab, bought me, Aukey, Aukey. So thumbs up to my counselor, Mr. Rudy Villalobos, in DOR in Orange, all right? He bought that. And I was critical on him because when he first bought my home Acer, not the best, but I heard they're reliable. I couldn't hear the computer. And being that I'm not, I'm not like technical savvy. I was like, why can't I hear the sound from my computer? Because he forgot to order me speakers. So as a student, you have to take initiative and stay a step ahead of the game. So here's my speaker. This is my Wonder Boom, and it is wonderful, right? So you can lease this at T-Mobile if you need help in that way, and they're really great. So what are the features that are great about this during the coronavirus pandemic? So I'm going to put this one away, and I'm actually going to try to return it to Santa Ana College because it sucks. And that's not going to really help you go very far in your studies, right? So that's going to be returned. Bless their heart. They're letting me keep it to the end of my school. No, thank you. So what makes this better than two speakers, and why I got it? One, because T-Mobile helped me get it like right on the spot for a little down, like $5-10 down. Okay, what is great about the features about this? Other than that, T-Mobile works with YouTube, right? One, with the coronavirus pandemic, it's dust proof. So as you can see, look close, this baby is not collecting dust on it like your computer screens or your keyboards, right? Or your printer or anything else in the house. It is not, right? I haven't had to wipe it down. Gray with a staying clean theme, right? And white. Second thing is it's waterproof. So a lot of times, right, we're always worried, we knock over our soda or drink on our table, gets into our device, even a little bit, even if it's water, boom, it's destroyed. This is waterproof. If it's submerged in water, it's pretty safe to a certain distance. But there's no protection against people doing something really stupid, right? But it will protect this, even if it's submerged in water. Let's say you are at a party and oops, this goes into, right, a bucket of ice. Well, guess what? It's going to still survive. Demonstrations on YouTube. Can you hear sounds while it's submerged underwater? No, you can't. But it won't be damaged. All right, so that's great. Another thing, I said this thing is like a basketball. How many times we're worried, but we're going to drop things and they're going to break, right? Cell helmet. I love Cell helmet because Cell helmet has proven my concept that it's about going smarter than harder. Think harder, you're going to end up in the emergency room, which I've seen. I hate to say it, I'll pick on the boys in the gym. They do outlandish exercises and they end up getting injured and pretty much taken out. Classic case, I think I saw on YouTube when I was in personal training school at a scammy CNI college. I took not NASM. Okay, they're predatorial too because they'll try to sign you up for their course, and for whatever reason, if you can't even start like day one, then they want to charge you the whole amount of the course, and that's not right. I studied the other one, the National American Sports Conditioning Association, whatever. I think people can pretty much figure out how to exercise, right? These are just certifications so that they can work with people and get money. On YouTube, a guy, right? He was overestimating his 1 RM or 1 resistance max. In other words, the heaviest, right, that he could do. So he put a bar over his shoulders. And in personal training, it's very important, like in a roller coaster ride, right? Keep your hands inside. Don't leave it hanging outside because, your hand can hit up against something or even get cut off, severed. So in personal training, it's very important. You do not put your knees before your toes, right? Because what you're doing is hey, locos, you're exposing your knees, right? Just as your back. I don't know what happened yesterday. My back hurts. I think from cleaning. You see, I cleaned my family room, so my back hurts, right? And a lot of times, when your back hurts is usually specific to your L4 and L5. Just leave it alone. Okay, don't try to, do this, massage it and stuff like that, because when something's injured, you just let it, sleep on it, let it recover. But you to twist and try to massage it, and it's an injured area, it's not good because you need to go regional. Every time you have an injury, you need to treat it as that. Like, go regional, leave it alone. No twisting, no touching, manipulation. Especially if you don't know what you're doing, you can exasperate it. Just give it time, your body will heal. So this guy on this YouTube, he put a several 100-pound bar over his shoulders. I believe his knees were in the right position. Even then, he overestimated his 1 RM, and his knees, the bones broke out of popped out of his socket, and that's not good. So this, other than it being dust-proof and waterproof, right? Because we're always worried about that and keeping our devices clean, right? It's drop-proof. So it's like a basketball, essentially. You can drop this right? Like a basketball, the nice strong basketball that's has enough air in it, right? You're not gonna have to worry that basketball is not gonna, right? It's not gonna wear out on you. This baby, if you could drop it, is not going to break. And why would you drop it? You know, the way it's made, it's so nicely constructed that the advertisement for this was like during summertime, right? And party, right? But for me, I use it to study because to me, the studying gets you more in life than partying. Not to say you can't, but this is great because you don't need two speakers, right? So you can buy one, and this baby is like super loud. Compared to the JBL Clip 4, it's like a 5 to a 50, right? So, I could use it to study, and yes, I could use it to take a pause and watch Netflix and enjoy music. It's great. Um, the thing you need to know is that it is one device per one of this, okay? So the good thing is you don't need two speakers, okay? And the strings and stuff like that, that's old school. The thing is that this is going to be for my home Acer, and the JBL is for my Acer Swiss that my agency bought when I'm on campus. And yes, I give credit to Department of Rehab and my worker. He is a sweetheart, Rudy Villalobos. He is the one who's getting me all of this to make sure I have a rights to higher education, and that somehow, I will have a better life. So I'll give them credit to that. All right. So the JBL is to clip on my backpack when I'm in school. This is home, right? What I love about this, if you don't have a big desk like mine, and why do you need a big desk? It's more of having a big brain. You just place it on your desk, like a cup of coffee, and there's no way, there's really no way you could drop this, right? Because look, it's got this, and why would you drop it in water? And avoid that, and just this is so wonderful. Never take anything for granted in your life. What the reason why I got it, because this design on here, it looks like a cross, and that was something I prayed at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. I think, like everybody, when this all started, I was like everybody. I had a nervous breakdown. Um, you know, I had a nervous breakdown and I was crying because I knew the facts after that a lot of people were going to get sick. A lot of people were going to die. The United States is going to be hit hard, and, you know, um, and I knew kind of ahead of time because I grew up in a Baptist church, and I grew up in Netwood Baptist Church in Garden Grove, and now it's still there with a different name. And I remember in church, when we were there and we were praying and singing and fellowshipping, and I was baptized there and so forth. There were moments where, like a lot of stigmata. There's two types of stigmata, like a physical suffering and emotional suffering, and of Christ. And I remember in church, I remember moments when we were singing, and I felt like an overwhelming, like, depression over me. And at the time, I didn't know, how you don't know why. Um, But now I know. Now I know. You know, what is happening during the coronavirus pandemic, the suffering, the deaths, you know, more than what is probably put out there for us to know. It's very sad. And people who still puts on a fake and happy face, right? And prey on people in this vulnerable time, you're going to answer to God. You want to do bad on your end, you will answer to God. That's all I have to say. So I'm going to put this down. The only thing with this is that it is essentially for me to hear from my home Acer, right? So when I'm making a live YouTube stream, I found out my computer can hear me. It's just when I replay my live stream that I need to hear it. I need this to assist me, right? So I'm going to put it down. And, you know, I wanted to touch base on what I told my boyfriend. And what I tell my boyfriend, I will tell everybody. In terms of people praying on, you know, during the coronavirus pandemic, right? Whether it's securities, whether it's scams, whatever, sexual exploitation. You know, there will come a day where God will put a stop to all of that. Okay? And what's the word? Hell. Okay? Hell is a place of purgatory. What does purgatory mean? Purge. Through fire. So I know a lot of people are scared of fire for good reasons. But fire is actually cleansing, right? Purgatory. And you know, a lot of Christians believe, and it's true, that pain, right? Physical, emotional pain, right? Pain Christ went through, crucifixion. It, you know, it serves a purpose. You know, think of it this way. People will continue in their sins if they didn't feel some level of pain, right? In terms of criminal justice, if they didn't have to pay a fine or do some time, they will continue it. And that was something that I was joking around with my boyfriend today. I said, have you guys noticed, especially recently, like the super crazies, like Mark Zuckerberg is top there, and the criminals, all of a sudden they're in control. I have to see the comedy in it, really. I have to see the comedy in it until the show's over. You know, what I've learned in my lifetime, you know, everybody has a definition of sick. Like right now, I was going to say on a positive note, right, turmeric and milk, right, golden milk. If you don't like that, because that's like from India, hey, guess what? Put some turmeric and honey in American ice cream. It works for you because you know what? Most doctors scratch their head why the combination of turmeric and honey is so antiviral, antibacterial. Like it heals your body on the outside if you have injuries, and it does wonders on the inside. Okay, they're even admitting that it kicks ass compared to pharmaceutical. And tonight I will post a video on YouTube about, I want to balance people's perspective on the big pharmaceuticals and how they're always pushing pills on people and how massive this corporation is. And I understand they want to make money, but when you put profit over people, and in the YouTube, they hurt a French lady and her baby, and the baby was not able to sit up. But that's bad. That's bad. So I will, post that in correlation with that, and made in China fentanyl, how they're sneaking that bad drugs with all this other drugs, right? And the crime rings, where the Oxycontin, right? Everybody wants Oxycontin. Well, who's releasing it? The doctors, right? And I'm wondering, who's cutting these fentanyl made in China, putting it into these pills, knowing that it's gonna kill people, right? That was something I broke down in my psychology class, right? I finished the first phase of my psychology class, and it went into more details about that and more coverage. So basically, as I explained to Orange County Sheriff Barnes and everybody, I will keep on explaining it. Because that's how you counteract criminals. Because criminals function on confusing the hell out of us. First and foremost, how fentanyl kills, all right? Let's just say fentanyl is example, snuck into heroin, okay? The biggest deceptions of drug dealers on drug users is that they say, hey, take this. It's going to make you feel good, right? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay, so what happens in the heroin actually intercepts the neurotransmitters, our natural feel-good neurotransmitters, right? Serotonin, endorphins, right? These are natural feel-good chemicals that's already in our system. Heroin, what it does, it actually intercepts those natural ones and blocks them. Okay, so you might want to know, well, where does this deception fall in, and where does this high? The high is actually not from heroin. The high is the method at which the drug user believe he is getting a high. Direct injection, okay, you're going to get the fastest hit, right? Stick it, it's in your system. So the high is actually not from heroin, because heroin actually blocks you actually feeling good. It's from the method of application. So injection, you're going to get the hardest hit, high. Snorting it, right? Snort, that's second. Licking it, third. Some of my friends, they go as far as like sticking it up their butts, right? Or, sticking up their butts, or, like date rape, kind of putting it in a drink or whatever, right? But the fastest way you're going to get it through injection. How I know? Because I ended up in the emergency room, South Coast Global, and they had to distribute steroids. And I don't know what happened. I think I have major allergy problems, because I can't handle any form of filth. I ended up in the emergency room. Although having allergies, not emergency room, I was very swollen, and they questioned if it was going to cut off my breathing. So when I was in the emergency room the first time, they gave me steroids through my butt. The nurse that gave it to me, she was really good. I didn't feel anything. And they pulled the curtains, in the emergency room, because they know you're going to feel something. So, what my dad taught me, a little bit of what my sister taught me, because my dad was a pharmacy professor and my sister's anesthesiologist. Um, your body, and what other people have taught me, your body's very smart, right? It's actually your body that determines where the medication is distributed, not you. Okay. Um, so she gave me an injection in the butt. Didn't feel it. I even told her. I said, wow, I didn't even feel that. And I thought it was gonna be easy downhill from there. Um, she exited, pulled the curtains, and for a reason, because it hurts. How does it hurt? Well, the medication will cramp up your butt. So it's kind of like having a major Charlie horse in your buttock area, kind of. So I cramped up and I went, oh, because, that's when the medication's starting to kick in and, it's entering your butt area for you. So I cramped up and I said, oh, they knew that it was working. So I said, my butt burns because it feels like, how you get chlorine up your nose? The medication, it stinks. And I said, it is. I said, my butt's cramping. And I said, it burns. I said, is it supposed to be like that? And they said, yeah, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of hell. It'll be over soon. Um, and yeah. And then from there, you could just slowly feel, right, cramp. And then the burn is like, like chlorine up your nose, you're being drowned in chlorine. And then slowly from there, you could feel the medication pushing its way up my butt because it was in my lip area. Yeah, and they had to put a monitor on my finger because not only does it take down the swelling, it takes down your heart rate. So they have to monitor me. Yeah. So after that, it's kind of like a joyride because it takes down the swelling, it takes down the heart rate. They check on you to make sure you didn't die on them. But I liked it because I was like, I was like asleep. But it took several hours for that. And usually that's like when you're really swollen, right? And then it happened again. So, I'm trying, my pharmacist at Walgreens, she told me you need to see a specialist if it's happening, again and again, but not every day, as urgent care said. So it happened again. I ended up in urgent care again. Instead of swollen up here, it's down here. But I'm like, it's really weird. And they were like, this is weird too. So it happened again. And then the second time, because it wasn't that bad, they gave me more steroids, but in my hands. Right? They said, we'll do it in your hands. It's not going to sting. I said, great. That's great. So they said, give me your hands, right? They stick a needle 45 degrees. It has to be subcutaneous in your fatty area. As you see, I don't have much fat going for them to go subcutaneous. So they stick a needle 45 degrees into your arms. They dig, right? And that was supposed to be, right, not in the buttocks area. And, my veins blew out. Because I have, along with tiny wrists, I have really tiny veins. I wouldn't say they're delicate, but they're tiny. So they blew out. So she tried again. She tried again. Instead of here, she wanted to go in here, right? Now, if you guys are scared of needles, right, blood draws, this area is more sensitive to this area, all right? Just think of this like somebody tickling your feet. This is gonna hurt more than this. And if you're used to, right, I'm always used to doing things with my left hand, so I'm like, go in here all the time. And use the butterfly, right, for babies. If you're always used to doing on this side, and all of a sudden in the emergency room they want to switch arms, it's gonna hurt more. But anyway, she did a good job, and I wanted the swelling to go away, so I was like, I welcomed it. So she stuck in a needle, and the needle, what it does is a double whammy. The needle goes in, she pulls out, and she leaves in a rubber tube. And essentially, that's your IV. So you're able to bend your arms. If they need to give you fluid, because sometimes I know in the emergency room, the first time I went, my throat was really dried up. They would not give me even a cup of water because they're afraid sometimes people will throw up, choke on water. So they're very strict. So they give you water, they give you very little, and they tell you just keep, wet your mouth with your tongue. That's about it. But, if you need more fluid and you can't hold down your fluid, then that IV can, they could give you like fluid through it. They don't need to keep on poking them. But, the emergency room, even though they are like that, they keep in mind they're there to save your life. And they, for the most part, they do care. They just have to remain emotionally detached, right? You can't get close to people. But, the nurse was very nice. When I left, it was like the two, Bianca, careful, baby. When I left, it was like 2 to 3 in the morning. And she offered me to kind of stay in the hospital until the sun comes out, because she didn't want me to walk through the dark like by myself. They're nice. They're nice. Keep in mind in the emergency room, even though they have to like right, stab you and stuff like that, they care. They care. It's just, they're doing their job. They're saving your life, and they can't, break down emotionally and get close to you. Because, some patients do die. They can't do that. So that's what I want to talk about. This is really good Bond's ice cream. So if you don't like the Indian golden milk, like what the hell is that, right? Turmeric is actually really good. Essentially, it's just milk with turmeric and sugar. And how does it help? Soothes your throat. If your throat's dry or painful, or it's gone. So this is Bond's mousse fudge. I have turmeric and honey in it. Because remember I told you guys I don't drink milk anymore? So I put it in my ice cream. It's actually really good. The honey kind of gives it, you know how like some ice cream has a ribbon of caramel? Kind of like that, but it's nutritious. And you don't have to worry about it, exacerbating your diabetes, which is an issue for a lot of Americans. Especially during Halloween. So, 41 minutes, 45. I am putting Besitos and all her babies on a diet restriction. Because I think recently I overfed them. And remember, like baby's supposed to stick to kitty formulas, right? But yeah, they shocked me when they were born, skipped that and started going for the kibbles. So all of them are on a diet restriction because they're having diarrhea. So usually when that happens, diet restriction, right? Depending on the severity, you might have to all out fast. Like the vet says, no food, 24 hours, just like humans, until your stomach settles. If you do feed them food, no wet food, just like humans. Or what my nurse called bland diet, right? Nothing spicy, nothing oily, nothing that's going to exacerbate your having a healthy bowel movement. So they are on a diet restriction. If it's bad, they're not going to get food. If it, clears up a little bit, they only get dry food. And I don't, I don't, okay. If they ask for more, like kids, no. Portion control. It's kind of like distributing medication to your patients. You wouldn't OD them, right? And, cats are very circadian, right? They have a ritual at nighttime, right? They do run around and play and act crazy, then they fall asleep, and I expect them to stay asleep. They're not allowed to walk around and ask for food, right? So your pets are like your children, right? Like recently, I gave them a towel bath with Tearless Pet Shampoo anti-itch because I saw them scratching, and the babies had more fleas than Besitos. I don't know where they picked it up because they have not gone outside, but it helped. And might I say, cut to the chase, I don't use Dawn dishwashing soap. That's just dumb. Monkey see, monkey do on YouTube. Your Pets is not a dish, all right? You could get baby shampoo at the Dollar Tree or the 99-cent store, all right? It's just my neighbor, his friend, had some really good, pet shampoo that he gave me, and I use it on them. All right. I don't torture them. I don't do any of the above on YouTube. I warm, I activate the shampoo in the sink with hot water, right, and a towel. I do not dunk them, right? I don't blow dry them. The heat I think is too much for their skin. If they do have bugs, I don't use lice comb. I think that's too rough on them. The comb that I do use on Besitos is just I'll show you. These human, can you feel that? It's cheaper and prettier. I use this, and I just bought myself one. because I'm planning to grow out my hair. So yeah, for everybody who's missed me with my medium length bob or long hair, which I've never had, you'll see that happening, and I'll be taking some biotin to help me. Um, so I basically I don't blow dry. I don't use human lice combs. They're not a human. They're not a dish. I mean, let's get real here. And if they're scared, well, guess what? Don't scare them. So I use like a cloth, you know, and basically I the hot water I let it hot, but the towel I make sure it's warm body temperature for them, and I let them on the floor, right? And I basically they like to waddle, they like to be wrapped, right? So I put the towel on them, and basically it's tearless, so I just work their eyes, right? And I give them breaks, but I also remind them I'm the boss, okay? Right? Let them throw a fuss. Don't let them scratch you. And I just basically wipe the eyes, give them a break, nose, right? Mouth, ears, right? Their face, their whiskers, especially in here, right? They love under the chin. They love that, right? Scratch them behind the ears. And then I give them an actual little neck rub. The most important thing is you want to do a ring around the neck, because at this stage, there's really no collar that's big enough or flea killer, so you're it. So just make a nice ring around their neck. Work, right? Down towards the buttocks area and not the opposite, because then you're going to be spreading fecal matter and urine, right? Work down, right? And just really scrub to their skin, right? Make sure it's soothing, they're not suffering. And then do, their stomach, right? And I was the one who cut their umbilical when they're a baby. And the most important thing, folks, because recently I ended up in the emergency room with angioedema because of them, really work out those paws. Squeegee those paws out, because they're a problem, right? You walk in the litter box, right? They're a problem. Make sure you really squeegee out those paws, right? And you know what? Make sure you wipe off pee and poop and everything else in their rectal area, whether they like it or not. And their tail, right? And that's it. And then after that, I rinse out the towel. And you'll see all these fleas come off. Do you need to be anal about it? And like I've seen on some YouTube where they go back in and they're like a gorilla. They're like making sure they pick every single flea off their pets. No, because they're going to come back on again. You did your best job for now, right? Being clean is a lifestyle, is continuum. Did your best. So give them a break, right? And then, after I rinse out the towel and the flea, I went in warm, right? And then I go in kind of cool. And then I wipe off, right? I wipe them off, the excess soap, right? And then after that, I pat them dry. That's it. That's it. And I notice after I do that, they like it. They put up a fuss, but who likes being filthy and dirty, right? You're like uncomfortable and you're itching and you're smelling, right? So they like it. Keep that in mind. They might put up a fuss. Don't let them bite you. But afterwards, I noticed they are a lot more playful and lively. As you can see, this is Astra. He's the fattest one. He is the biggest one because his dad, I told you, is like the size of a small, medium dog. So he's going to be a big one. And I say he's the GQ one. When he was a baby, he had beautiful blue eyes. I'll show you his picture, and the way he stares into the camera is very, very, very handsome. Astra, as you can see, I like him because he's so silent. He's not like Donati. You notice? He's very silent. And he's just like, he shadows Priyanka. You know, he is the biggest, and he makes sure Bianca is not bothered by the other two boys. So that's what I like about him. He's very sweet. He's very silent, right? I hate who hates somebody who just doesn't know when to shut up. And he's just very supportive of Priyanka and of me. I love just holding him. And he has a very soothing effect and positive effect on me. I love him. And now his eyes are turning green, almost gold. And he's still beautiful, whatever color. You see, he's very handsome. I'm going to let him down. He wants down. So that's all I wanted to talk about. And then I wanted to say I've done my psychology. I actually stayed up all night, and I was very, just to show you how sleep is important, I was very like attentive to my homework, and for the most part, I got most of it done, and there was like one left, and I was like this. Yeah, I was like asleep. So yeah, that's not a good way to study. And actually, I want to remind everybody, in my first psychology class, they did a research to see if students doing what I do, right, an all-nighter, produces better grades and results than students who actually try to sleep. And no, they don't. No, they don't. I went into extensive detail to study about sleep, the different stages, why we need REM. Let me explain you what it is. So it's basically your sleep looks like a heartbeat. You have your K spindle, your K complex, or spindles, K complex. And essentially, when you sleep, unlike your phone, right? You charge your phone. When you sleep, you allow your brain waves to lower, right? It needs to lower. And in the process of lowering, it kind of jumps too. It charges again, right? That's how you refuel. I think that's the one of the K complex, the spindles or the K complex. And there's actually a TED Talk on YouTube how right there, when it drops, right, and it shoots up again, it's like a fountain of youth. Your body recuperates. And yeah. And then, of course, you have your REM. What is REM? REM is kind of like having a full dinner, right? You wouldn't have a full dinner and just eat dessert, right? You want to eat your steak, your vegetables, your potatoes, your drink, right? Salad. You don't have the full meal. So that's why you should have REM and not just half sleep or naps, right? Or like a lot of mentally ill people, they'll brag about, oh, I got off my medication and I don't even need to sleep. Well, guess what? That could kill you. Okay? So people need to know what they're saying and how very stupid they sound. To brag that you are mentally ill and you stop your medication without consulting your doctor, for one, that could kill you. If it doesn't kill you, it could throw you into seizures. And then even to brag that, you're feeling so better now that you're not even getting sleep. Beyond insomnia, research has proven that lack of sleep can kill you. This is why you need sleep. But last night I was determined, because I'm always procrastinating to the last minute. I was determined to push aside my psychology homework, and then tonight I'm going to start my paper, and then tomorrow, right, polish it, perfect it. But I started off very gun-ho, and then right around this morning, I was like this. I was literally sitting on the, this to show you how determined I am. I was literally sitting here like this, like hanging on one nail. And I woke up and I realized that I didn't finish it. I had to redo it, but whatever. I did finish it all, and I think there was like 10. And I don't remember what happened at the end. That's why it's bad. And as to how I sat here sitting up sleeping, falling over, I have no idea. um, but I can tell you this. Okay, a lot of my research paper for Psychology 250 for 250 point is going to bring my grade level from 85 ... percentage to an A, right? Is going to correlate to these 10 and the previous, all right? Why? Because I'm doing a paper to break down the Halloween movie and how Halloween portrays mental illness of Michael Myers versus DSM versus our abnormal psychology book versus Cengage, the program that we're on. That's why. Okay. Um, and I wanted to say at 57 minutes, just a study tip for you guys. When I took the CDCR test in Rancho Cucamonga, I overlooked the obvious, right? Because I've never taken that kind of test. Before any test, folks, you have to, okay? It would be to your advantage. How many divide the numbers of questions per the time given, okay? With my CDCR test, I was given less than 2 to 3 minutes per question. And you have to at least pass the 75% of the test, which I told you my thinking is very slow, which could be an advantage because, like Professor Liu, I don't overlook anything. But when it comes to you having to think quick on your feet, like correctional officers for CDCR, that is not good. CDCR, basically their test is very useful in that. And also not to overlook anything, to reemphasize that. A lot of times they would show us pictures, right? And then they'll remove an object in a photo and see if we notice that object being gone. And that's something that goes on in jail, right? Let's say you're in a jail cell and all of a sudden you notice the razor's missing or the toothbrush is missing, right? Well, guess what? In jail, criminals like to take those and make it into weapons. So what they do, they will remove the toothbrush and the razor, bind them together. So now you have a toothbrush and an eraser. You could just, and that's what they do to correction officers. They slice them from the ears to the lips because I don't know if you guys know that is their way of saying they don't like a correction officer, and it's a mark, just like graffiti on a wall. So that's what you have to do. All right. And try to, each and every time, try to be smarter. So what I did was I said, given the, because many times in school, I've turned in things at the very last moments, like literally within seconds. And I don't like that because you're under pressure. So what I did, I tried to be smarter, and there was 10 assignments, right? So I said, well, if I want to spend some time on all this, and I should ever run out of time, right? I hit the top ones first, which there was like one, let me see here. There's 116, 113, 112, 310, 14, and 13. 14 and 13. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're gonna spend some time doing this, well, guess what? Hit the one with the most point first. Push everything aside, and then of course, you really want to grab this 250, right? On your research paper. There was a girl that reached out through our Canvas and had some questions. And those, I already gave you guys the answers with my art of being smart. So I will probably hashtag this video for Santa Ana College students, right? If you are a Santa Ana College student, if you want to be part of Honor Society, if you ever want to transfer, you're gonna need to know my art of being smart. So she had some questions, and I read her questions and I responded. And I said, she said, she's confused. All right. So I try to clarify, and that's honors, right? Honors is not sounding like a smart ass, right? Honors is sounding smarter and being able to clarify things more to people with facts. Okay, it's not the other way around. So she sounded very confused, and I responded to her whatever she was asking the best that I can. And I basically said, you need to do the obvious, which is what the professor prompted or outlined, right? He went into extensive detail what he wants on this paper, right? All right. So you don't question that. And that's something I have drilled my boyfriend over and over. Okay. If you want to make it to honors, drop the smart ass. Drop it like a hot potato. You don't argue with the teachers. You don't argue with the book. You don't argue. Okay. You accept it. All right. Accept it. So I just kindly reminded her, you're going to do what the professor prompted, right? Or, he went in his Canvas in extensive detail how he wants this paper, right? So as to why she's still questioning it, you don't question, you just do it, all right? That will be to your advantage in college, university, or even after you're done with the university. And then she says she's still confused on APA. I have no idea why, because the professor even went out of his way to touch base specifically APA as is applied to his class, which he doesn't have to do because he's a psychology teacher. Professor Ricardo Castillo, very good teacher. And it was tested on, all right? So maybe she missed it. That happened. So I kindly reminded her to look back on the APA little spiel that he did, and it was very helpful, right? He broke down how to do the cover page. He broke down how to do the reference. But the most important thing in his class, right, just like a resume, is slanted, right? It depends on the content, which company you're working for, right? In his class, he clearly made known, I do not want you to quote. All right? I want you to paraphrase. All right? He made that very clear. And he, said in his class, in his lifetime, just like Professor Liu, they explain why they study what they study and, where it stems from. He was saying the 3-word rule, which is basically English honors too. But this is more of plagiarism, all right? He said, I do not want you to quote the book or the author, okay? He's making an exception to the rules. And if you don't heed that, you might as well don't turn in your paper. You're wasting your time. Remember the assignment about the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, purple, blue? But that's not the assignment, okay? The assignment is the colors inside the letters. So inside the red, you might find blue, okay? So the book is asking you what's the color inside the letters written out, not just verbatim, red, orange, yellow, green, purple, blue. Okay, you need to pay attention to what the professor is prompting and not what you as a person think you should be doing. Because you're getting yourself into a lot of problems. So he says specifically, paraphrase. I don't want you to quote. So it's totally different, right? And he said the 3-word rule. He said, I don't want you to paraphrase and verbatim, 1, 2, 3. That's what the author said. Well, that's what the book said. Or you grabbed it off of Google or whatever, right? Because sometimes Turnitin or whatever, they pick up on stuff like that. Or somebody who's really good in their field, they pick up on that. They know you got it off of Google or wherever, right? So he's like, don't do that. All right? He said, if you do that, that's plagiarism. So what does plagiarism mean? F. You failed. Okay? Because you're not following his format. So what does that mean? You wasted his time and your time. You might as well have not even bothered turning in your paper. But in terms of English honors, that papers are either in composition, and English honors is composition. Okay, you cannot have 1, 2, 3, right? Grammatical error, right? Well, what he's talking about is more the critical thinking, right? You're not just compositing APA. He's asking you to do as prompted and put into your own words or paraphrase minus 1, 2, 3 of the author, the book, or anything else, right? So he's specifically saying, if I catch you doing that, that's still plagiarism, even though, right, you didn't even quote anything. All right, it's very specific. And then I'm going to throw in an extra. A paper, also is, a lot of it is creative thinking. Okay. So there is a difference between composition, critical thinking, and creative thinking. The obvious, right? Critical thinking is like tests. True, false. You pick an answer, correct answer out of A, B, C, fill in the blank. Has to be the right word, right? Critical, usually right or wrong. But creative thinking is different. It goes beyond just right or wrong, right? You can write something about some wrong view about life, right? And, write it in such a way that you're persuading the readers and the teachers to change their views on it, right? So it's more creative. But in terms of the test last night, these tests I don't really do that well, and I blame it more on Cengage than me, because they don't really tell you how to prepare for these stupid little tests. So as you can see, right? Whereas their Cengage works with Cerego, okay? So that, okay, their complimentary program, I always get it correct, 100%. I finish it like in a minute. Their test, I don't know. I blame it on them because they don't really, other than doing what the teacher prompts, they don't really tell me how to prepare for these tests. And I wanted to throw in, my previous video was about how to do annotations, right? But keep in mind, that's if your class requires or emphasizes on that, all right? Which psychology doesn't. He doesn't really, he's not even bringing up what I talked to you guys. But what I want to bring up, because I finished, for the ones that I did get correct based on my wrong answers, think of, remember I was saying this, the triangle goes in the triangle, the circle goes in the circle, the square goes in the squares. Okay, well, think of a stop sign. That's an octagon, right? On a test, right? You need to think like that. It's very basic geometry. And when you find a correct answer, think of it in terms of a stop sign. Stop. In your mind, you're like, that's the correct answer. Stop. All right? Especially if you're on a time task and you have less than 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 1 to 2 minutes. Stop. All right? So it's all geometry. Put your circles in your circles, your triangles in your triangles, your squares in your squares, and that's it. All right? You need to recognize what's the octagon, what's the correct answer, and stop. Pick it and leave. Because if you continue on, reading the other answers, you're going to get confused. And for the most part, that is what your teacher or your course will try to do. Why? Because they know you know it, and now they're going to try to knock you off balance. So a lot of being smart is not only being smart, but standing your ground. So that's what I wanted to throw in. You know you're correct, right? You stop. And every class, use different online programs now to help maximize, understanding the given points of any course, not just points, addition and deduction and whatever, your professor. But if your program allows you to try to get more points, utilize it. And know the programs of, that you're working with inside and out, just as you know your professors or what they're prompting. Like this Cengage, it's got its issues. If you look at the reviews on Google and Google Play, when I was done with Cengage, you have to submit it. All right. So what does that mean? If you chose the wrong answer, don't submit it to be graded. Right? Watch the video again, pick the right answer, and then submit it. Right? So you're making the most of the program, your professor, right? To comprehend your points of the class and get the maximum point. Because each of the videos that I watched was worth 10 points. Okay. And don't be all excited because the way the teacher calculates the percentage, makes these 10 points, it's not really 10 points, right? In relationship to percentage. So what I mean by that is I'll be critical on my American Gov teacher because he was critical on me. Instead of teaching me what Professor Castillo taught me on plagiarism, I think he wobbled back and forth on my paper, and I didn't know what Professor Castillo taught me, and all I thought was more researching means more citation, right? And I did quote, the book and the author and stuff, but what my previous teacher didn't taught me is that kind of touch base on what Castillo said, that if it passes a 50% mark, like half of your paper, more of it is what other authors said or the book said, right? Or other stuff, and it's less of you, that's still plagiarism, even if you put it in quotation. And he was very critical on that. He wobbled back and forth on it. I explained to him I didn't know that. And he said he would reconsider, and then he didn't. So he didn't accept my paper. But I'm going to be critical on him because the percentile, right? Like I said, the video is 10 points, but you're not actually getting 10 points increase on the percentile. What I mean by that, in college, and as you move on to university, your percentile is not just based on this. It's based on attendance. Are you actually there in class? Participation in Zoom. right? Attendance, participation, right? Tests that leads to finals, extra credit. It hangs on 5 things. And my American Gov book, just to show you he was too critical, almost unreasonable. He warned students that if you even miss one of his Zoom and you don't have an excuse, good excuse, you ended up in the emergency room or somebody in your family died, he's like, that's it. You flunked my class. And I literally had to challenge that with the school and him. Because that's not right. And all of my other teachers, agreed to it. Your overall percentage is not based on one missed Zoom, right? And, a lot of people don't understand this, especially if they just got out of high school or like me, they haven't been in school for a long time and they're an older adults, right? Or they've been in school in other countries. This is very hard for them to understand. And another thing was like his view on being American is not like mine. Mine is very simple. And I see there's complications with it, but how I see American, and I still stand true to it, American to me is anybody who loves America, right? They can be somebody who doesn't, like me, have a U.S. certificate. I got it as a minor through my mom. I have a Social Security card, right? I have a notarized birth certificate from Vietnam, right? And I have my driver's license. So these are the 3 things. Right. U.S. certificate, notarized birth certificate, Social Security, California driver's license, or state ID, right? You're an American, essentially. You know what? But there's many people that doesn't have that, and they are like in other countries, and they still love the United States. To me, I still acknowledge them; they're American, right? But people who are true Americans here are people who actually try to learn what America is about, beyond just loving America. And that's why I got into criminal justice. Actually, CJ 101, my first class, is required pretty much for any major. Because ignorance of the law is no excuse to break the law. You're going to still be arrested, right? A lot of times, shows like Cops, somebody who didn't speak English, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, the police officer says, well, you're still going to be arrested. Doesn't matter if you didn't know, you broke, know that law. You still broken the law, and they're obligated to make an arrest. But they're, that's separate and apart than people who are here in this country, right, illegally. And I'm going to clarify, that's not just Mexicans. There's a lot of people here of other nationalities, all right? So let's back off on picking on Mexican people. I think we've made it look like anybody who's illegal, we're talking about Latinos. No. There's a lot of cultures now who are illegally here in the United States, meaning they don't have the right documentations. And, correlated to them doing illegal things and not having any accountability, right? So that's the third category. You have to love America, learn about America, but more so be a law-abiding citizen, right? And if you're none of the above, well, let's just say, there's always the door. So my views on life are very simple. An hour and 25 minutes. So yes, I'm looking because there's somebody just put poop on one of my folders, and I have a feeling it's Priyanka. So it's not just the CETOs that has diarrhea; they have it. So it's probably, I read an article because recently I put out a lot more food for them, and that's not good. That's not good. Because I learned from my last dog who passed away for the same reason. Your pets are like children, right? They're always gonna gimme, 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 gimme. No, no. Just because they ask doesn't mean you should give it to them. And what happens when they overindulgence on food? Their stomach lining gets irritated and it wears down. And my last dog, unfortunately, her stomach bled out. And I scrambled on my feet to try to get her treatment and emergency, even euthanize her. And unfortunately, yeah, she passed away in my arms. That's probably one of the best things. Probably one of the best things because I can't imagine her, being in the animal shelter, right, with strangers. And, I think that's one reason why I study criminal justice and I am so feisty about it, almost unrealistically demanding, is because I see so many injustices, and more so for animals. In relationship, if I ever get a PhD, this would be why. Humans, if they are in a life and death situation, did you guys know that by law, doctors have to save their life? Even if they are undocumented? They cannot leave somebody who's dying on the table because they're undocumented or they're poor. And yes, they have to ask your permission, right, to do life-saving medical intervention. But in certain cases, if you're in a lot of pain and it's really bad, they will still, So I asked myself, well, why can't they do that to animals? If our country really is, right, justice for all, right? We're all created, we're all, created equal in God's eyes. Well, how about the animals? Just as we have the Medicare system, I think we should have health insurance for animals. I think there should be a last resort. Because God forbid nobody has to go through what I went through in scrambling to get help. And I realized in my lifetime that when you shit out of luck like that, you realize who your real friends are, which pretty much is nobody. At the time she died, all my family members had money and cars and means to help. They didn't. And the neighbors, who thought she was cute and stuff like that, even her breeder, who gave me her because she was too lazy to spay the mother, ignored me on Facebook. She was the type that always used to send out Christian things. You send this out to 12 of your friends and 12 of your friends, God's going to answer you. I can tell you, it's going to be on deaf ears, just as she ignored me. Life has its way of giving back what you give out. And that's something that why I, continue to want to be in criminal justice and want a very high position or a PhD, because I want to do something about that. Locos! I want to do something about that. That's not right. I mean, although it was the best thing that I held my dog in my arm and she died in my arms, the only person that actually loved her and still love her as much as I do, that's not right. I'm going to show you guys on last minute a photo of the pharmaceutical industry. And they asked this one asshole, what do you say to a lazy who's dying of cancer? She can't afford the medication. I hope you would join in my efforts to bring justice to a very lawless world. Even if you're not a criminal justice major, I'm going to take you along with me. With that said, I wish everybody have a good night. I'm going to start working on my research paper. When I'm done, I'm definitely going to share it with you guys, because Halloween is coming up. And in the meantime, I want to thank everybody for being here with me and YouTube. And remind you guys to turn on your notifications of your favorite channel. YouTube is a great platform, right? To get to reach out, to learn different things, meet different people, even get involved in a live stream, yes, and benefit from being on YouTube. So with that said, I welcome everybody to subscribe to my channel and share.